Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to another episode of Sober Talk. In this episode, we're going to continue working through the steps with me just kind of giving you some inside track information on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, if you're a member of Narcotics Anonymous or any other 12-step program, and you find anything useful in these videos, please, by all means, go ahead and use them, and I'll even let you take credit for the ideas if need be. All right. In this episode, we're on step 3. If you have your AA Big Book, go ahead and take it out now. It might be very helpful to you. But before we get to that point, I'm just going to tell you all right now. When we talk about the 12 steps, if you've been in a few months, it's pretty well commonplace among all of us alcoholics and addicts or any other 12-stepper. All of us can talk about the first step, and we could talk about the 12th step. Every one of us can do that. But for a true 12-stepper, and what I mean by a true 12-stepper is someone who's completely worked through the steps. There's always that one step in between, one of the other 10 that we're really good at. Well, step 3 is where I'm at home. For whatever reason or another, I'm just right at home on step 3. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right, first and foremost, step 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. All right. Now, in the Big Book, the book self-titled Alcoholics Anonymous, you're going to actually find that on page 60 to 63. Okay? In my personal experience working through this step, my first sponsor, Sober Man, had me read page 60 to 63 for 2 weeks straight. At the end of that 2 weeks, we read through it one more time, and then we did the actual prayer that was in there, and then it was time to move on to step 4. Now, let me say, as kind of a side note, this was the first time I wanted to revolt. I mean, straight up revolt. I thought this was completely and totally a waste of time, but it was one of those things. He did say, if he's telling me to do this, there's got to be a reason for it, so I did it. And let me tell you all, I'm glad that I did. All right? So let's take a look at what I learned from that experience, okay? When you read page 60 to 63, one of the things that it talks about in the Big Book is, if you will, it starts talking about how, we always just seem to be on a collision course with disaster. Even when we're trying to do something good, we're always on a collision course. And the Big Book is very clear on why that is. We're very much run by self, if you will. Alcoholics and addicts have this notorious habit. Even when we're trying to do something good, we're still trying to figure out how we can get ahead. There's no doing something for other people. Our motives are always like that. And the Big Book talks about that very clearly. Now, and you'll actually read that as you go through. Now, for whatever reason or another, as we read this, we begin to realize, our actions at one time, our actions are very selfish. So if we're honest with ourselves, and I mean really honest, we'll pick up on this. And then, of course, that desire, well, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be like this. And before you know it, you can't wait to take that, to do that third step prayer. Now, I will also tell you, if you read closely, in AA, we trump those 9-step promises or the 12 promises. We really beat those to death. Well, from personal experience, I can tell you when I heard the ninth step promises, well, they seemed like miles off. In my early days, it just seemed like I would never get there. That's all the way in step 9. Here I'm on, step, I'm on step 1 or step 2. They just seem miles away. Here's the thing. The third step promises, well, they seemed a lot closer. Those will be on page 63. You pretty well find them right at the top of the page, just before you get to the paragraph where the third step prayer is. So, these were the first, this was the first time that I could have some of the promises within the big book, not necessarily the 9-step promises, but these were obtainable. So, I'm not gonna go into detail. If you want, look them up yourself. Look them up yourself. Get out your big book and just read it for yourself on 63, right at the top of the page. I promise you, to me, they were exciting. So, maybe something you might be interested in looking at. All right. The next thing I'm going to give you as an inside track piece when you're doing step 3. If you're truly honest with yourself, and I mean really honest, like brutally honest, what you will find is, a lot of people get scared of step 4, okay? If you're truly honest with yourself, you're going to find out right away by doing a good, thorough third step, you've kind of already started doing your fourth step. You're really prepared for it. So, make sure you take a good, close look at it. Now, if another little side note here, if you go to a meeting where there's a lot of old timers, real rough, tough old timers, they'll say, "Oh, you just make a decision. You just make a decision." Well, if you're like me, you need to really read that third step very closely, because simply put, I needed to know why I needed to make that decision. So take a good long look, page 60 to 63 in the big book. Definitely great reading material. So here are your notes, if you will, as an inside track on step 3. Number 1, if you're honest with yourself, you're going to see your behaviors. And number 2, a thorough third step is definitely almost like really preparing yourself for that fourth step. The fourth step is not as scary. Everybody who I've ever talked to who could not do their fourth step, their third step was where they really lacked. So just kind of, it's one of those things, you really need that third step, and that's why I really push that one. And I will tell you all as kind of a number 3 side note for this, I have found invariably when I'm having difficulty in sobriety, it's because I have a problem with step 3. That's just typical right there, okay? So there you have it. A little bit of information on step 3, kind of an inside track, to help you get through it. Just stick with it. I know it, even if you're atheist, agnostic, whatever, you will find no problem whatsoever with your step 3. Just listen to your sponsor, and I promise you, you will learn a great deal from it. Okay, that brings us to the usual spot in this video where I basically say to all of you, if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you would like to have more videos like this, please leave a comment in the section below. Feedback is always helpful. Again, no hate, especially on Sober Talk. I please, leave the hate away from Sober Talk. It's kind of sacred ground for me. And if you're not subscribed to the Prince Magnum channel, now is definitely the time. We are always trying to put the best possible information out there for all of you, not only in hot rodding, romance, but also to help you stay sober so you can enjoy life to its fullest, because living in the bottom of the bottle just absolutely sucks. And because this is Sober Talk, and this is designed specifically to reach those of you out there who are affected with some sort of addiction, whether it's alcoholism, drug addiction, gambling, I don't care what it is. We're going to change up the ending a little bit. So here it is for you. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And as always, if nobody has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.
How many lives do you think I'd say?
The Prince Magnum channel rocks.